Buckeye fans, welcome in to our post-game episode here on the Buckeye Roundtable YouTube channel. New branding here on the site. So if you've been following along with us, appreciate you. Always jumping in with me here on the YouTube channel. We're just moving logos pretty much. It's going to be a lot of the same content, but excited to have you along with us as we recap what turned out to be a pretty impressive victory for the Ohio State Buckeyes as they take down Grambling State 70-0. Now, this was a game, and we talked about it all week long. I've said it ad nauseum. Even I'm sick of me saying it, me hearing it. But this was a game that ultimately wasn't going to be determined. Success wasn't going to be determined based on the scoreboard, right? Ohio State could pretty much roll out of bed, and this is no disrespect, but they could pretty much roll out of bed and get a victory over Grambling State. It was just really it's just two teams not on the same level. Grambling State, obviously an FCS opponent, and they're not the best FCS opponent, so it's not like you were playing the best of even that group. So understanding all that, Ohio State took care of business. I talked about it all week long. Hey, there's some specific things you want to see from every position group, and things you want to see them improve upon, things you want to see that come out of this game, and I think you saw a lot of those. So as we dive in here, the crowd's kind of growing here a little bit. Get into that comment section. Let me know what you think of tonight's game. Let me know what you think of what I have to say about it. Love interacting with you guys, and we have so much content over on our site, new site, Roundtable. It's called Buckeye Roundtable. So if you Google that, it'll show right up. I'll link it in the description to this video once I'm done. I didn't link it initially. Actually, it might be. If you go into the description, should be in there. So go jump over to the site, follow me, and join all of our content over there. So as we get into diving into talking about this, just understand this is all kind of gut reaction stuff. I'm going to go back and we're going to watch the tape tomorrow morning, aiming for about 10 a.m. That's where we were last week. Give you a nice little appetizer before NFL football starts tomorrow, which we're excited about. We'll get into that here at the end of our show, but we'll dive into the tape and get really into the nitty gritty and the detail of it. But I want to start at the quarterback position. Julian saying all Ohio State conversations start and end there with number 10. And I thought, for my money, he was special today. And I honestly thought, and I've been in a lot of these situations back when I played, you play a tough opponent, you play somebody like a Texas. I never played Texas, but you play a tough opponent and you want to show up and you want to do your job and get out of there with a win, right? And that was their goal last week. And they did that. And Julian played very, very well in that game. These kinds of matchups are oftentimes a lot tougher, and not tougher from a sense of winning the football game, but you're just so critical of yourself because you want to start well, you want to be accurate, you want to deliver the ball on time, and you want to do all the right things, and that leads your team to victory. Julian took no time. They didn't play with their food at all. They came out first drive and went right down the field. Boom, big touchdown to Will Kazmarek over the middle. It was an awesome play design. I can't wait to show you it, but an awesome throw. It was a great route, awesome throw, awesome catch. And on that very first drive, the saying was 4 for 4. I don't know how many yards he had on it, but ended it with a touchdown, and it took him just 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Then the Ohio State defense comes out, forces a punt. Buckeyes are backed up on their own 12-yard line, and where do you go there? You go to number 4. Really simple. If I threw to number 4, holy cow, life would be very, very easy. They just ran a simple stick concept where Jeremiah's on a go ball, the inside receiver, the slot guy's just on a 5 to 10-yard out route, and Grambling's never seen speed like Jeremiah Smith. The safety didn't get high enough over the top, and actually Julian started on the right side. So he went all the way across the field. He swept his progression. So he went all the way, started right, and then kept sweeping, and looked, and was like, holy cow, Jeremiah's 10 yards past everybody. I'm just going to chuck this thing up. It was a perfect throw for an 87-yard touchdown pass, which is the second longest pass play in Ohio State history, the third longest play in Buckeye history from scrimmage. So now Ohio State's all of a sudden up 14-0. Julian saying is 5 for 5 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns before 6 minutes of football had even been played. And what that says to me is, hey, I'm not going to crown him the Heisman or whatever. What that says to me is this team is incredibly mature. They know what their goal is, and they didn't take today lightly at all. And that's the sign of a team that's just mature is the right word to say it. This is a group full of new players. A lot of them are younger. Jeremiah Smith, the leader of the offense, is sophomore. He's 19 years old. Caleb Downs, the leader of the defense. He's a junior, going to go pro, but he's a junior. This group took nothing for granted today, and that was the big thing that really stood out to me. Julian saying would complete his first, I did the math earlier, if that was 5, he completed 11 more, his first 16 passes of the day. And then on throw number 17, big mistake. All right, you're in the red area, at the 5-yard line, I believe, and he was trying to hit Carnell on like an out route, and he was super late on it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Carnell was open, but he was super late on it, and the ball gets jumped and picked off. And that's one you simply cannot have. For like all the good it was like, that one's gonna kind of stick in his mouth tonight and into films tomorrow, because that was a bad one. But he responded well, completed his next 2 passes, and finished the day 18 for 19 for 306 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jeremiah caught 2 of those touchdowns. Will Kazmarek with 1, and then Carnell Tate. Man, I love Carnell Tate. He had another touchdown catch today in that left corner, right behind me over there, kind of over the outstretched arm of the defensive back, and made a really, really nice catch and to get back in the end zone. Second time in just as many weeks. So the Julian Sam, I thought, was just very good today in a spot where he had to be. He had to be very mature about his approach. He had to be very mature about his play, and he answered the call and answered the bell. So really happy with him from the quarterback position. Now, let's look up front because Ohio State kind of I didn't challenge them, but my thought on the whole game was, hey, for Ohio State's offensive line, you couldn't really run the ball last week against Texas. You had about 2.5 yards a carry, 77 yards on 34 carries. But tonight they got right, and they did so in a big way. The Buckeyes finished the night with 274 yards rushing on 38 carries with 4 touchdowns on the ground. Now, the interesting part is I'm going to start from the top down. I wanted to see a little bit of C.J. Donaldson. He had a nice game, 45 yards on 5 carries. He had 1 score. James Peoples, I thought, showed a little bit of explosion, and that was what I really wanted to see from this running back crew. He carried the rock 8 times for 59 yards. But the story of the running back room tonight was Bo Jackson, the freshman from Cleveland, Ohio. He went to Villa Angela St. Joe. I matched up with VASJ a number of times back in my high school days. But Bo Jackson, 9 carries, 108 yards, 1 score. Now, it was against it was at the end of the game, right? So he was carrying the ball in the 3rd and 4th quarter. But when he got the ball in his hands, you could see that there's something there, and we got to talk to Jeremiah Smith afterwards, and he basically was like, and this whole interview is on our YouTube channel, but he basically was like, yeah, I've been working out with Bo, and he's next up, and he called him that. That's pretty good to hear from the best player in the country on the offensive side of the football. So really loved what the running back room did, and that parlays into really liking what the offensive line did up front. Julian was clean, as he should have been, had no pressure at all, so he could kind of sit back there and kind of pick apart the defense and get to where he needed to get to. But the Ohio State offensive line was creating some big holes, moving the ball and creating that confidence, right? You're going to lean on some of those things you learned tonight and creating that confidence in your teammates and in yourselves to be a competent run group on that side of the ball. So all in all, I would say, a gut reaction is an A performance by the offense, truly. Like this was a very good night by the offense, a night that they needed, and they came through in a big way and had a very, very productive evening tonight against Grambling State, understanding the opponent, but just still taking care of business and doing what you need to do. Now, flipping it over to the other side of the football, a shutout is always good, right? When you're on defense, shutting the opposing team out was fantastic. Now, a couple things that we had our eyes on early on. If we started up front here, and I'm just kind of peeking at all of the stats here as we go through. And again, stats don't always tell the story, but a name that I wanted to see a little bit from tonight on the defensive line was Bo Atkinson. Okay, finished the day today with 0 tackles, no tackles, no TFLs, no sacks. So I'm gonna really dive into the tape, see what was going on when he was in the game. Not sure his snap count either, but want to see exactly what was going on from his side of things. But what I did not love, and we're going to pull it back to Grambling side, is, early on, at least in the game, the Grambling did have a couple chunk runs, okay? And I don't love to see that. We saw that last week against Texas, a handful of drives that they kind of ran up and down the field. Texas finished with 164 yards rushing. Grambling does finish with 94, but I can think back to a couple, and we had long runs of 19 and 11 yards. 11 was by the quarterback, but Andre Cruz had a 19-yard carry, I believe it was in the second quarter, not positive on that, but just some things that made you like kind of scratch your head a little bit, like, hey, this shouldn't be happening against Grambling. Like, if we are who we think we are, we should be able to put a stop to a lot of this. And I would like to see, and we're going to look at it tomorrow, but like to see what was going on in the run game and what the reasons were that Ohio State wasn't really stopping it on a consistent basis early on in the game. Now, going back to that second level of the defense, right, the linebacker group, wanted to see some things out of the starters, like actually not really, like get out of the game and stay healthy. Looked like Sonny and Arvell are just fine. There's no injuries to account for from those guys. And then when the Young Bucks came in, they did their thing. Riley Pettyjohn made his presence felt early and often, forced 2 fumbles and was kind of all over the place. He shows up to the football with like really, really, really bad intentions. Like if you're carrying the ball around number 20, he's going to make you pay for it and does so in a big way. Peyton Pierce had a very nice night, led the team in tackles with 6 totals. He had 2 solo tackles and did a really nice job there. Caden Curry up front had 2 TFLs. He looked pretty good, but I was really impressed by the Young Bucks at the second level of the defense. And then getting into the back end of the defense, it's cool to see some of the younger guys on that side of the football really get it going and start making their mark, right? Ohio State forces 2 interceptions. The first one was a sick play by Caleb Downs, a really awesome play by Caleb. And then we had an interception later in the second half. The name is slipping me of who got it, but we'll take a look at it tomorrow, see what happened, and give credit where credit is due. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it may have been an incomplete pass, but we'll look into it. Some good stuff there by that young secondary, and a lot to like from that group. And we just got out of the Ryan Day's press conference, and that whole video is available here on our YouTube channel. And he's kind of exactly how you'd expect it. Like he's a coach that just knows he beat an FCS team. Not happy, not sad. He's like, hey, we did our job, and we're going to keep it pushing, because coming up next is the Ohio Bobcats, who just finished off a 17-10 victory over the West Virginia Mountaineers, which is a big win. After they took Rutgers to the brink in week 1. And now they go and they beat West Virginia. So they got not a formidable opponent, but somebody who's going to at least have your attention there. And that'll take place next weekend, next Saturday night, right behind me at 7:00. It's the lone 7:00 kick here, at least for now, inside Ohio Stadium. So appreciate them giving prime time, at least early in the year, to a Battle of Ohio. Or I don't know if it's actually the Battle of Ohio, but it is in my mind, because it's going to be really cool to see the Ohio Bobcats travel on north to Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. The atmosphere, I think, is going to be pretty cool. Like I do know that it's going to be a ton of Bobcats here and probably having a really good time along with some Buckeyes who know how to get down as well. So that's all coming our way on next Saturday. Now, before that, we got NFL football tomorrow, which is we finally made, and there's Buckeyes littered all throughout the NFL. Of course, some of the new guys for on their rookie days, I guess, we'll have our eyes on Travion Henderson out in New England. You got Jack Sawyer getting his first shot with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got JT Tuimoloau getting his first swing at it with the Indianapolis Colts. You got the whole Ohio State crew that is out in Arizona with the Cardinals. Obviously, they're going to have the attention in that 4:00 slate. Up in Cleveland, you got Denzel Ward, right? It's been a while since he played on this field, but he's still doing his thing for the Cleveland Browns, and it's Buckeyes everywhere tomorrow, which will be a lot of fun. And we're going to do a cool little series here on Roundtable, just kind of recapping the Buckeyes in the NFL from the weekend. So make sure you jump over to our site. Buckeyes Roundtable is what you're searching for, and you'll see my ugly face there on the home screen. Make sure you hit that follow button and just check out what we're doing. I'm not asking you to put any dollars down, not asking you to do anything. Just go sign up on the page. If you want to download the app, and you'll be alerted every single time that I post a story, and we bring you all this content, because we love doing this. It's going to be a cool opportunity on a new platform. I think we're going to be able to bring you a lot of really cool stuff that I'm excited about. So hopefully you're just as excited as me. So we're going to keep this show quick tonight. 15 minutes here, because Ohio State took care of business and did so in a very convincing way. 70-0 against the Grambling State Tigers. They move on to week 3 against the Ohio Bobcats with a 2-0 record, and it feels really good. As Coach Urban Meyer used to say, what's the best part about being 2-0? It's the opportunity to go 3-0. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Anthony Moeglin. We'll see you next time here on Buckeyes Roundtable.